90 FM.
Commissioner of Police Dr. Kevin Blake is lamenting the murder of 4-year-old Sanaya O'Brien, describing her death as a stark reminder that every life lost to violence matters. Commenting in his latest Commissioner's Corner address to members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF, Dr. Blake says O'Brien was one of the victims of murder by the hands of hoodlums that the police are up against. The Commissioner says young Sanaya did not get the opportunity to grow up as her life was snuffed out by the evils that some would want the society to believe are not all bad people. Sanaya was killed in Woodstock, Manchester in a brazen gun attack last week Sunday afternoon. According to police reports, shortly after 4 p.m, the child and her father were seated in a motor vehicle when gunmen approached, alighted and opened fire. Both were found suffering from gunshot wounds and were rushed to the hospital where Sanaya later succumbed to her injuries. The Commissioner's comments come as the JCF continues to press ahead with crime reduction strategies, even as it has been noted that there have been a few instances of multiple shootings and murders last week and again this week. Meanwhile, Commissioner Blake is urging members of the force not to lose resolve. He says resilience dictates that the police should not be daunted, but instead refine strategies and intensify the push to have sustained reduction in crime. The St. James Police have named 10 men and 1 woman as persons of interest. 10 of the men are from St. James addresses. They are Adam Carey, otherwise called Chin Chin, a 30-year-old of Rosemount, Richard Morgan, otherwise called Country, a labourer of Spot Valley, Darren Daly, 32 years old of Rose Heights, O'Neill Dennis, otherwise called Squalor of Tucker, Shamar Walker of Guava Walk, Unity Hall, Randine Hood, otherwise called Kirk, a 32-year-old of Flower Hill, Sherlon Samuels, otherwise called Soji, of Bliston District, Adelphi, Javon Ellis, otherwise called Ja, a man known only as Brian of Harmony Drive in Churchill, Flankers. The lone woman is Christina Williams, otherwise called Chrissy of St. John Retirement. Completing the list is Stefano Lamont, otherwise called Kevon, a bus operator of Sandy Bay in Hanover. They are being urged to immediately report to the Montego Bay Criminal Investigation Branch. The JCF is appealing to anyone with information on the whereabouts of the men to contact the police emergency at 119, Crime Stop at 311, Montego Bay CIB at 876-953-6191, or the nearest police station. Member of Parliament for South St. James, Nikisha Burchell, is calling on the government to ramp up its hurricane damage assessment and recovery efforts for homes in the constituency. Speaking with Nationwide News after the ceremonial opening of Parliament on Thursday, Ms. Burchell says a man died in South St. James in a home that was ravaged by Hurricane Melissa.
We are behind the 8 ball, and I'm asking the government to make a special allocation for constituencies that are deep rural. We can't be expected to be given a fair shot if you do not provide the resources to help us to even play on a playing field that is fair and balanced. I'm appealing on behalf of the people of South St. James. Send us some additional people to come in and assess our damage. We're doing what we can on our own, but up to last week, we lost a man who was still living under a piece of zinc.
The Ministry of Labour and Social Security reported that it has so far disbursed over $115 million to Jamaicans whose homes were damaged or destroyed by Hurricane Melissa. The ministry says over 1,300 households have so far received financial assistance. But Ms. Burchell says the damage is not being accurately reflected by the assessments done so far.
The biggest issue for us is still homelessness, and I'm not seeing a way out. I've heard of plans for constituencies in St. Elizabeth and even in Westmoreland, but where South St. James is concerned, I haven't heard anything for a holistic plan for us. The website that they're using to host the information on those homes they've assessed as having sustained damage by Hurricane Melissa doesn't really reflect a lot of residents from South St. James.
Nikisha Burchell, Member of Parliament for South St. James, and we apologize for the quality of that audio in that clip. The government is set to launch a gender-based app in a bid to strengthen and improve support services for victims of gender-based violence. Governor General Sir Patrick Allen made the announcement during the throne speech on Thursday, marking the ceremonial opening of Parliament.
The government's mission to end domestic violence remains urgent. This year,
A gender-based violence mobile app will be launched to provide discreet access to emergency help, legal information, and support services.
Sir Patrick Allen, Governor General. Gender-based violence continues to be a major problem in Jamaica. A report published by human rights lobby group Jamaicans for Justice last year noted that some Jamaicans justify domestic abuse. The data was obtained from 1,003 participants across 5 parishes. Approximately 26% of the respondents highlighted provocation, cheating, high stress, and drug use as justifiable reasons for domestic abuse. Overall, 75% of the respondents were both victims and perpetrators of domestic violence. A joint select committee set up to review the Domestic Violence Act has resumed sitting, with lawmakers vowing to complete their work during the new parliamentary year. Jamaican medical student Chelsea Francis says conditions in Cuba remain stable amid the ongoing fuel shortage in that country. Cuba has been facing a worsening energy crisis amid a U.S. edict effectively forbidding countries from selling oil to the Caribbean nation.
As of right now, especially where I live, the issues are not as bad. We still have light, we still have water. I mean, there are days when we don't, and it will leave for hours. But the conditions are kind of stable. The transportation has been kind of on pause, especially the bus system. The prices have significantly increased for the taxis. So transportation is a bit of a struggle at the moment.
The fuel shortage has caused significant disruptions to the country's transport sector, as well as access to food and medical supplies. More than 300 Jamaicans are studying in Cuba. On Wednesday, Foreign Affairs Minister Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith says the ministry is closely monitoring disruptions affecting Jamaican students in Cuba. Classes have either been suspended or moved to the virtual space. Chelsea Francis says she isn't planning to leave Cuba anytime soon.
I am committed to finishing in Cuba because I already started here and we have come such a long way. I don't see the sense for me to start back over if I had to. But I mean, if the opportunity does present itself, it could be an option.
Chelsea Francis, Jamaican medical student in Cuba. 226 primary care facilities are slated for rehabilitation and modernization in the new financial year. Governor General Sir Patrick Allen made the announcement while delivering the throne speech to open the 2026-2027 legislative year in Gordon House on Thursday. He said that improvements will also be done on the Savannah Mar Hospital in Westmoreland, and technical assessments will be undertaken to inform the reconstruction of the Noel Holmes Hospital in Hanover, Falmouth Public General Hospital in Trelawney, and the Black River Hospital in St. Elizabeth. The Governor General also declared that further preparatory works will commence for modernization and redevelopment of the Kingston Public Hospital and a new Type C hospital at Bernal Lodge, St. Catherine, thereby positioning the health system for resilience, equity, and future demand. Meanwhile, giving an update on major capital projects, the Governor General told the Parliament that the Western Children and Adolescent Hospital in St. James, which will provide 220 beds, 4 operating theatres and diagnostic equipment, has advanced to 77% of completion. He said that significant upgrade continues under the Health System Strengthening Program. In St. Catherine, the $5.5 billion Spanish Town Hospital redevelopment is 24% completed. The $930 million Old Harbour Health Centre is at 74%, and the $660 million Greater Portmore Health Centre upgrade and the $704 million St. Jacob Park Health Centre's expansion are both 60% finished. In addition, rehabilitation of Cornwall Regional Hospital in St. James is 85% completed. And now to news on the international scene. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has assured European leaders the U.S. does not plan to abandon the transatlantic alliance, saying its destiny will always be intertwined with the continents. The U.S. Secretary of State told the Munich Security Conference, "We do not seek to separate, but to revitalize an old friendship and renew the greatest civilization in human history." He criticized European immigration, trade, and climate policies, but the overall tenor of the closely watched speech was markedly different to Vice President J.D. Vance's at the same event last year, during which he scolded continental leaders. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said she was very much reassured by Rubio's remarks. Let's now turn to sport because Sandro Tonali scored twice as Newcastle United overcame a series of controversial decisions from the officials to knock 10-man Aston Villa out of the FA Cup. This was a fourth-round tie packed with drama, incident and goals at Villa Park as Newcastle channeled their frustration to turn the game on its head in impressive fashion in the second half. So the final score in that match, Aston Villa 1, Newcastle United 3. And now for a recap of the top stories making the news at this hour. Commissioner of Police Dr. Kevin Blake laments last week's murder of 4-year-old Sanaya O'Brien, describing her death as a stark reminder that every life lost to violence matters. Member of Parliament for South St. James Nikisha Burchell calls on the government to ramp up its hurricane damage assessment and recovery efforts for homes in the constituency. Over 200 primary care facilities are slated for rehabilitation and modernization in the new financial year. You can find the news on our website at rivernews.ai and on the River News app available on Google Play and the App Store. News is next at 5 tomorrow afternoon. Good afternoon.
Nobody make a love thing flop. Fontana, are your one-stop shop? Oh yes.
Yes, if you love someone, gifts, perfumes, wine, teddy bears, and chocolates.
It's all Valentine's inside at Fontana.
Oh, Fontana.
Yes, baby, love me know you want it. Perfume, wine, steady beers, and chocolate.
You better go Fontana for me.
Fontana, are your one-stop shop?
It's so Valentine's inside at
Valentine's for me at Fontana.
Nationwide 90 FM. Tearing it up live. Turn it up.
Well now. Hey. Well. The promised land. Going to the promised land. Yes, the promised land. Oh gosh now. To the promised land, yeah. Make a step down to Asmara. Then we stopped in Addis Ababa. Made our way to Shashamani land. Riding on the King's Highway. To the promised land. Going to the promised land. Oh gosh. To the promised land. Oh, to the promised land. Well, there's plenty of land for you and I, by and by. Lots of food to share for everyone. No time for segregation in the promised land. Oh gosh, take me to the promised land. There's the promised land, oh, that's the promised land. Oh, 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 yeah. Said we're riding on the King's Highway from Cairo to Kenya. Made a stop in Asmara, then we made another one in Addis Ababa. The promised land, going to the promised land. Oh gosh. Save the promised land. Yeah, the promised land. Oh. lot of work to be done, oh gosh, in the promised land. Yeah, talking about the promised land. Yes, to the promised land. The promised land. Glory to the promised land. Africa unite, 'cause we're moving right out of Babylon, and we're going to our father's land. Yeah. How good and how pleasant it